hear me?
I can
We
hear you
okay?
now. Can everyone hear me? You want to give a thumbs up?
Yeah, we got some thumbs up coming. So
A thumbs
okay,
up.
sweet.
We'll give it another minute or two. We appreciate everybody joining. Let's go ahead and start, everyone. We should have several people scheduled to join us here in a few minutes, and we'll be able to catch them if they have any questions. By way of introduction, my name is Ben. I think everyone here knows who I am, Ben Driggs. And the other presenter today is DJ Bassett, another person at Navigate Financial. And today we're going to be talking about a service that we're rolling out called the Navigate program, or the Navigate Plus program. So for everyone on the call today, this call is intentionally for people who are employees at companies that we work with. So you're participating in your 401k plans, and we want to remind everybody, even setting aside this specific program that we're going to be talking about today, that we are always available to help employees with their financial needs. Obviously, as things relate to the 401k, help with getting enrolled, help with understanding the investments, but also more generally, financial planning topics that some of those we'll be talking about today. So we've always been available to help employees on these things. But over the last year, we have taken a step further in this direction to be able to roll out a bona fide program that people can rely on, and they can help. Now we're going, and that we can help them. Now we're going straight to the public, and everybody's welcome to participate in this program. It is not only for employees of our 401k plans. And it's a basic subscription model that we'll be explaining in the next few minutes. But specifically, we're starting with our current clients. The subscription model does have a monthly subscription fee associated with it, but that does not apply in the case of everyone on this call who's an employee. So everything we're talking about here today is free, and we certainly invite you to participate, and we'd love to help you as much as we can. So today's call will be about 20 to 25 minutes. We'll allow some time for some Q&A. I will be talking for the first 15 minutes, explaining how the program works, and then DJ will wrap up the last 5 minutes talking about some specific action steps that people can take if they want to take it to the next step. So DJ is going to share his screen, and introduce the service. By the way, just like if there are any questions, DJ, if you'll please monitor the the Q&A. Just you can raise your hand or send a message through the chat, and we'll be sure to answer that. DJ, just chime in if someone asks a question. Okay, DJ?
Sounds good.
Any questions before we begin? Well, I guess you can just fire those to DJ. So this we're calling a partnership with a financial advisor. Again, this is for everyone. It could be for you personally, and you get the service for free, but it could be for other family members. It could be friends. It could be just random people. Everybody needs help with finances, regardless of their circumstances. If you have a lot of money, if you're young, you're old, you have no money, everybody needs help, and that's what this is for. The next slide, I believe, is just some disclosures. Let me just touch on those disclosures and just mention that this, we've been very careful that what we put together is not, we're very simple. We're avoiding conflicts of interest as much as possible. We're not using this to upsell or cross-sell or anything like that. We do have a lot of relationships and partner. We have tools and partners that we work with, but we're not like trying to do something strange or something. And that's the gist of these disclosures. We have a duty, a legal and a moral duty to act in your best interest. And we always strive to do that as much as possible. So this overview is going to cover 3 areas. The first thing, for about 5 minutes, kind of introducing the program. Then the next thing is what we call an introduction to the base camp. And then the third thing is an introduction to the roadmap. So let's go ahead and start.
Ben will go through the introduction here. On the base camp and roadmap, you'll see those are just examples of, what that would look like for somebody. So whether you or somebody else, the base camp discussion, when we sit down, and at the end of this call, we'd invite everybody to book a base camp discussion with us. But then you kind of have an idea of what that conversation's, how the structure is going to be, or a roadmap, we will build for each client, anybody who has a base camp discussion with us. And that one's a sample roadmap, but again, so you can, see what that would look like for yourself, as, we hopefully, help you out, work with you and sit down with you. So anyways, I'll pass it back to
Okay, Ben. Good. We first want to acknowledge that investing, well, first here on this slide, our commitment is to everybody. We want to reach everyone regardless of their financial circumstances. We want the advice to be high quality, personalized to their individual needs, to provide some peace of mind for them and for their loved ones. This next slide is just acknowledging that finances are complicated, and maybe sometimes one particular aspect of finance is not particularly difficult. So we know, hopefully everyone understands the importance of living within their means, right? We bring in $100. It is not good to spend more than $100, but the reality of that can be more complicated, particularly when we're having so many moving parts. So we're trying to create some framework and structure around that conversation. This idea of structure, the program goes like this. In the center of that, you can see this notion called a base camp. That is basically a time where we can visit on the phone. You will be working with a dedicated financial advisor who knows you, will get to know your situation. In many cases, there will be a backup. So you have a couple of different people following and monitoring what's going on with you. We'll meet, theoretically, that would be once a year on a formal basis. and we call that a base camp discussion. We start there. We identify some areas that you're going to focus on. Now, here are 11 areas that we'll talk about a little more in a second, but not everybody is going to do all of these, and certainly not at the same time. So we'll probably start with one or two, make sure we baby step that to the point where people feel comfortable. We don't want to overwhelm anyone, but we want to say, hey, what's really top of mind right now? Oh, I need to get my basic, budget, or, I'm drowning in debt, or I have a whole bunch of investments here and there. I got to get some organization. Whatever the case may be, we'll start there. We take action, and then we return to base camp from time to time as a review. So that's the gist of the program and the service. The service has a couple of different, we have two different components. One is called the Navigate service, which is our basic service. And the second one is the Navigate Plus. And they're identical with the exception of one thing that we'll talk about on this slide. So, and the basic Navigate for non-employees is $24.99. The Navigate Plus, this slide, is $49.99. And but again, this is going to be waived for anyone on this call, so you don't have to worry about that. But the 5 things that we're trying to bring are: number one, structure, as like create some order on this whole thing. Number 2 is that we have some tools, both just electronic tools, digital tools. There's also planning tools and things like that. Debt optimization, Social Security, retirement planning. These are different tools that we use to help you. The third and central to this is advice. You can call us anytime. We're there for you, and we're going to help guide you through that. And the fourth thing is that we support you and your loved ones. Now, the 5th one that is different from Navigate to Navigate Plus is actual execution. So what we find is a lot of people say, oh, I need to, I just talked to someone a couple of days ago. They have 3 young children, and there's no life, and just some inexpensive life insurance. We say, hey, it's important for you to get some term life insurance. And so everyone knows that, and so we'll talk about that. But then this execution is actually running quotes and working with different partners to get this thing done, so that it doesn't just become a to-do, but it actually gets done. So the actual execution is really, really at the heart of what we're trying to achieve, so that people feel like they're making steps along the way. They're consolidating their assets. They're getting out of debt. They're getting their estate planning done, whatever the case may be. So that's the execution component. The next slide gives a few examples about how the Navigate service is just creating that structure, giving the ideas, giving the direction, and the Navigate Plus is actually concrete steps and helping you, holding your hand to make sure it gets done. So that's that. The next slide is the base camp. So this is the second part of our discussion today. When we meet with someone for the first time, and we welcome everyone on this call, if you want to do this service, you'd say, hey, schedule a call and we'll visit with you. Okay, this is the base camp discussion. The first part of the base camp discussion is just getting to know each other, an introduction, things like that. The second thing we do is talk about your financial situation specifically. What is going on? What are the pain points? What are the goals? Things like that. Then the third thing, we spend a little time on this next slide. Actually, that's the gist of this. And you've seen this slide referenced earlier. But the gist of the base camp discussion is to go through these 11 different areas one by one and introduce them, make sure we understand and we're explaining them correctly. And then for you to say, to identify one or two areas that you're most interested in starting as a, to work with it first. And so that is the next slide. We say, we look at this, we review all of them. Now, let's start with one or two. Now, you can go through a lot of them, fast, slow, whatever. It's at your pace. Again, it's very important not to feel overwhelmed, but at least there's some structure there. So we anticipate that people would do, one or two a year, three or four, whatever. But that after a year, we come back, we say, yes, this year I was able to get 1, 2, 3 done. So that's the base camp discussion. The next part of the third part of the presentation today is what we call the roadmap discussion. So once a person has identified his or her target areas, we then break that down to some specific steps. So in this case, we're going to call this Jane Doe's roadmap. So Jane Doe, she identified 3 areas that she wanted to focus on first: investments, lending, and debt management, or I think it was important papers and estate planning. So those are the 3 areas that she wanted to focus on. We rank those in order. In this case, we're going to focus on estate planning first, lending and debt management second, and investments. So with each of these different modules, if you will, we have several steps. We don't want it to be too much, about maybe 5 to 10 different steps for each of them. So in the case of estate planning, here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it bleeds over to the next page. Yeah, there are 12 different sub areas in this estate planning. With estate planning, we work with different estate planning attorneys to help you. We can give some guidance there, but ultimately we do not offer legal advice. So when it comes to creating a trust or things like that, that's where we would put you in touch with an estate planning attorney. But a lot of these things are not legal advice as much as just kind of practically going through these steps and making sure the bases are covered. The next one for Jane Doe was lending and debt management. You can see here are 6. I think that goes to the second page. There are 9 in this case. So there are 9 areas. We're going to do a debt optimization analysis. We're going to make sure that we're getting the best out of a person's debt, refinancing ideas, restructuring. People are trying to buy a house. Okay, what is the timeline? How are you going to start saving for a house? What does that look like for a first-time home purchaser? Going through that process together. And then the third thing that Jane had wanted to talk about is investments. And here again, we have about 10 different topics. We would review Jane's investments. Where's your money? How's it being invested? Should we consolidate? Does it make sense? How much are you paying in fees in different places? And then through this consolidation and this fee review and an investment review, we might make recommendations for improvement that would be helpful to them. That's on some, that would include your 401k assets, as well as any other assets that you might have, including real estate or you're running your own small business, something like that. So that's investments. And I think that is a good segue for essentially we're at the end of the presentation. So let me have DJ chime in here. It is 10:18. So in the last 5 minutes, DJ, why don't you talk about how a person would start and begin working together and what tools we have queued up for them.
Yeah, so the easiest way to get started is going to be utilizing one of our planning softwares, Right Capital. It's we have our app. You can see an image of what it is in there, built through there. It offers a lot of really great tools. And for everybody that had registered for this webinar, we went ahead and created, using your name and email that you gave us, a profile within our system on Right Capital. So immediately following this call, you will get an email saying that you have been, now again, this is a tool that is not, you can't, if you went and searched Right Capital, you would not be able to get to this tool without an advisor. So we created the profile so all of you can go in there and create a username and password to get into the system. And then from there, then you can download the app. Then you'll be, linked into our, our app that we've worked with Right Capital to create there. And, you can link your bank accounts, your credit cards, your mortgages, all of your any financial institution. It uses an account aggregator. It's similar to, a Plaid. I think it's called Yodlee. It's a more finance-based one, but same concept. You can go any financial institution. I think they have over 16,000 at the moment and always adding more. So any bank, credit card, loan, you can add in there so that it is, monitored, and you can have it all in one spot. You can utilize budget tools, very similar to a Mint or a, Rocket Money or something like that, but that you don't have to pay for. So you have that there, but also it allows you to, have a good portal to communicate with us. We also will be putting in, we can put in tasks. So let's say you're working on, investments, and we have a list of 5 tasks for you and for us. And so we can, utilize those features on this Right Capital system to communicate with one another in an effective and simple way. So there's a lot of tools for you guys to use there. Now, like I said, at the end of this call, I'll be sending out the invites for everybody to go on and fill out your profile completely. Like we put in your email and your name, but things like your date of birth, your income, any accounts that you do want to link, in there. And then it will also have a spot for tasks. I'll put one in there for every single person, and that will be to book your Basecamp call. And it will have a link to then get on our calendar whenever you're available. So please use that link to book a Basecamp and get started. So that's really that there. And with that being said, I think that's the end of our presentation. And because of the way that the screen share works, I was not able to, so we're going to stop sharing. Great. Okay, let's see. I don't think we had any Q&As. I didn't see any pop up. Oh, there you go. We had somebody ask, how does the app work with crypto? Typically we don't deal with cryptocurrency, and I don't believe the app, that is something that they would be able to track and monitor. They may be able to attach, depending on the provider. Say you use a Coinbase or something like that, they may be able to attach the account so you can see the values. However, there's not going to be good monitoring of those assets. It will probably show up in an other category when on the system, just because it is an other more speculative investment. So that's a good question. I'll have to double check and see which providers they would be able to, because it would just be up to what integrations they've set up. So I would assume that some of the major cryptocurrency wallets or wallet providers would be able to be pulled in there. So how are you being compensated for these services is another question that came in. Ben, do you want to handle that?
Well, if you're not a 401k plan participant client, and this call was specifically for our current employees. So for everyone on this call, the way we get compensated is that our fee to help your company run its 401k plan is built into overall plan fees. So we provide services that you may or may not know about behind the scenes, helping the company monitor the investments, choosing the correct vendors, monitoring the fees that are being paid for different vendors, including ourselves. There are a lot of things that there's a long checklist of how to run a good 401k plan. And we're highly involved with that from on the plan, company level. Another part of our role that is built into the 401k fees is to help employees for things like this, right? So participant education, and guiding them with their investments, registering. And so this is an effort to deepen that service, but we are already getting paid for helping you. And everyone should know that in almost all cases, they built into the fees for the 401k plan, these are fees that you are paying anyway. And so you by all means should say, hey, I am paying for this anyway. So, we are getting paid. You don't see it. Well, increasingly, if you see your 401k statement, you might see some fees coming out depending on the vendor. Every vendor's a little different, but that's how we're getting paid. We're getting paid because we get paid to help the company run the 401k plan generally. Very good question. Thank you.
So we have another one, and I can take this one. So would the app keep track of transactions like Mint or Monarch Money? And the answer is yes. Now, some of those, other ones have premium services that may have additional stuff, but for basic budgeting and transaction tracking on accounts, the app that we have through Right Capital or the tools that we have there will be able to keep track of the transactions. It automatically categorizes them. You can obviously change those, but it will, as you link an account, it will scan the transactions and then categorize them. You can set budgets, and then it will keep track of, oh, you're at, for your food budget or grocery budget for the month, you're at 80%. Here's what you want, and here's how much you've spent on your transactions there. So yeah, it's all up to how much, how many accounts or how accurate it will be is based on how many accounts you link to it. If you have a credit card you're spending on that you didn't link there, obviously it won't be able to track that. So there's that. So it's we have another one that says, since Mint is shutting down, is it easy to import transactions from Mint into the app? I'll have to ask. We haven't run into importing transactions. Typically what will happen is it will, when you link your bank account, it will look back and your bank or your credit card, it will look back and pull in the transactions directly from the financial institution. We'll have to take a look and see if they allow for easy import on there. And then another question, similar thing was, do you have to use the app to use the services, or do you have software doing the same thing? And the answer is no. It's just available to you if you want to use it. You do not have to. It would be, we would want you to get dialed into Right Capital. However, you don't have to use the budgeting portion or anything. Just know that it's there. It's at your disposal. A lot of people like that feature. We will still use Right Capital as a way to communicate. So, putting tasks, communicating back and forth, and that sort of thing. So we would want you to create a profile. It is very big for our debt analysis or debt optimization, Social Security optimization, retirement analysis. All of that's done through that platform. So if you are focusing on wanting to run a retirement analysis, we would need you to be on that platform. But yeah, if you have something else doing the same thing and you like that, keep using it. But just know that you do have something here that you can use if you want to. So good question. Thank you. Somebody says, this is awesome. Thank you for providing the service. So you're welcome. I know that we're butting up on time. We only got a couple minutes left. Are there any other last minute questions about the service, about the software, anything like that? Like I said, you'll all get an email from us through Right Capital. I'll be doing that within the 30 minutes following this call, sending those all out. So you'll see that, and we look forward to, and we'll also send an email out as well, just from us directly with some of this information. We'll probably include this recording. So if you want this for a later time, you have it. But anyways, I think the next step is for anybody that's interested in or wants to get started, book that Basecamp call with us, and we'll provide you the calendar link to do so, and we look forward to meeting with you. So, Ben, if you have any,
thank you. Is there one last question? Did I think maybe these are just people
got a
saying
couple
thank
here. Oh, okay. Is Right Capital only an app, or do they have a website as well? So yeah, it's website app. You can get onto it on your desktop. The app is more so for like the budgeting, that sort of thing. It's really good for that. On the portal online, that's going to be a lot more of the other, everything else that you can see on there. So they do have both. When you get an email, it'll prompt you to go to the desktop or the website version to put in that initial information and create your password, stuff like that. So yeah, does have both. Doesn't have to be mobile. And then it says, this is exactly what I've been looking for. So excited to book a Basecamp call. Thank you so much. So there you go.
That's good. So we look forward to hearing from you. And if you want to tell your friends and family, we think it's fantastic. It's really, really a great service, and we're committed to you and to your loved ones. And we hope we can bring value to as many people as possible. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Take care.
Thank you.
The webinar has ended. Thank you for joining. Goodbye.